DSP. As always, I'm your host, Josh. And like usual, this episode is brought to you by Great Lakes Discs. Whether you're looking for cool new gear or your new favorite discs, head over to Great Lake Discs. They'll hook you up. Hit the link tree link and you'll start shopping. Just really quick, I got my new team Great Lakes team jersey on. Looks pretty sharp. Salty Unicorn did that for us. And I mean, this is just a small example of the cool stuff that you can get from Great Lakes Discs. So definitely head over, get your shopping done. They'll hook you up. Without further ado, I'll let my guest introduce himself, where he's from, and where his disc golf journey even begins.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh, for having me on. I really appreciate it. My name is Eric Nelson. I am the founder of Enhanced Flight Disc Golf. I started it in March of 2024. And yeah, it's just a coaching platform, some entertainment along the way too, just showing shots out on the course and then trying to do as much teaching as I can. I've been playing, since 2012. So it's been a ride. I played starting in 2012 all the way through 2019 with no children. So I got to play as much as I wanted to. Got extremely addicted right away, like most people do when they start playing. And it just developed into something where I just said, I have a lot to offer on the fitness side of things, on the disc golf skill level side of things, and let's give it a go. But it was an idea I came up with. I think I had the Enhanced Flight name figured out back in 2017, 2018, and then I had my daughter in 2019, and things took a little bit of a halt. But then, in 2024, I decided it was time to do it. I'm glad I did.
Yeah. So you were said something about fitness. So let's dive right into this because I'm a huge fitness freak. Like I bring that mentality from different sports that I've done and crossed over to this. And I feel like that fitness is something that is very overlooked in the disc golf sport. Why do you think that is?
I think originally, if we think back historically, disc golf courses were much, much shorter than they are nowadays, for one. And then two, disc golf has always just been such a highly accessible sport for anyone who wants to go out and play. I mean, you can go to a park setting and you got, the furthest shot is 120 feet away on some of the courses on these, 9-hole park style courses you see around. I would say, because that does happen quite often. I get comments on my videos saying you don't need to work out to be good at disc golf. You don't need to lift weights. You don't need to do cardio. And there's a part of that that's 100% true. You don't have to do those things to be a better disc golfer per se. But I think what you're noticing now is you got players like Gannon Buhr on tour. You got Anthony Barella, Holland Hanley, Ezra Aderhold, and those are just to name a few that are realizing that there's major benefits here to weight training in the right way for disc golf. We're not going to try to be power lifters, and we're not just doing those three, compound lifts and trying to max out all the time. We are trying to strengthen our joints, protect the joints from injury in the future, and also give yourself that explosive energy on the course. We all know that the disc golf throw, mechanics wise, does require a certain level of athleticism, for one, whether you think you're an athletic person or not. I know there's certain pros on tour that say I'd never played a sport in my life other than disc golf. But you see what they're doing out there, and it's an athletic movement that they're figured out, and they've made their body do it in the most optimal way possible. So if we can mimic those exercises in the gym that can translate out onto the disc golf course, why wouldn't we do them? Is kind of what my thought process is.
Yeah, my thought process is because I posted about this earlier in the week on my Instagram page. I was really into motorcycle riding, on the track and everything. There was a coach, Ken Hill. He talked about there's 3 components into being a complete motorcycle racer. You got your physical ability, physical fitness, mental fitness, and then working on your craft. So I've always been focused on those 3, and it's just most of people out there don't even bother with any of those 3, or they do 1 or 2, and it's then they stand there why are we getting better? And it's
Yeah, it's completely multifaceted, and that's exactly what enhanced flight disc golf is. By the way, is that disc golf skill and disc golf performance and getting better doesn't just come from trying to throw the disc better. There's so much going on up here that you need to work
Mhm.
on, and then there's also things that you can do to make yourself have more energy out on the course, get through a round of disc golf. A lot of us are used to playing those 2 day, or 2 round a day C tier events.
Yep.
You can notice the difference when you're not in shape versus when you're in shape when you go play those, especially if it's in a course that has hills and you're going up and down. You can notice at the end of the day where you're like, I'm not as tired as I normally am. And it's probably because you put in some work in the gym and your cardio level is better. Because I noticed when I came back from a pretty long hiatus of playing disc golf, and I lost 55 pounds. But before I'd lost that weight, I would go and play a round of disc golf and I'd be exhausted at the end. And I consider myself a pretty, athletic individual. And so just seeing what a little bit of weight training, a little bit of cardio, and then, my nutrition getting on point, I lost about 55 pounds in a year, and just feeling incredible. When I get done with my rounds now, I'm ready to play again like I used to when I first started back in 2012.
Yeah. So, for weightlifting, what type of lifts do you suggest? Are we focusing on like plyometric workouts, calisthenics, or heavy explosive lifting with weights?
I would say for the general public, if we're answering it for trying to give the best answer to all skill levels, people who have just started playing, have very little experience in the gym, and top level pros, I would say let's avoid the super heavy lifts. Let's focus on full range of motion through all of your exercises. A couple that I can name right off the top of my head are back squats, if you can do them.
Mhm.
I don't want to injure anybody if you have some back problem, but just traditional back squats on the bar. Go lighter where you could get easily 10 to 15 reps and go through a full range of motion every single time. Um, and then work in those explosive type. Sorry, let me get back to the actual exercises. So you got the back squats, you got the trap bar deadlifts that are a little safer for your back. And then you don't even need to get on the bench and do bench press traditionally. Get on the ground and do your push ups. If you can find a way to do some tricep extensions, try to really strengthen those muscles around the elbow with your bicep curls, your tricep extensions. And then the big ones are going to be everything surrounding the shoulders. So we all know our shoulders
Yes.
take a beating out on the disc golf course. So strengthening those shoulders through all of the different exercises in terms of like military presses, um, and then your frontal raises, your side raises, trying to hit every head of your deltoid. You have three, so you want to hit that front head, side head, and the rear delts. And then strengthening your back muscles is so important, for just avoiding injury. Sorry, I got some screaming kids up there.
I thought it was my daughter at first. I was like, wait, what?
Um, so yeah, if you're looking for some of the best actual weight training exercises, um, those are the big ones. But I would say, important above all else is your calisthenics type workouts, your body weight, your lunges, your Bulgarian split squats, strengthening your hips. So your glutes are so crucial to the actual disc golf backhand motion and forehand motion, but specifically that backhand throw, to be able to drive that left foot into the ground. If you're a righty backhand, you're pushing off that left foot and you want to drive and plant into that right foot, you need that glute stability. You need to work on your inner thighs and your outer thighs. And all of this stuff, yes, you may say, I'm going to go to the gym for 6 months and start doing these things that Eric's saying. I haven't noticed any improvement in my disc golf game. That may be true, but what we need to do is shift our focus from weightlifting and cardio and all these things being a performance based thing where
Mhm.
if I do all this, I'm going to get better at disc golf, to longevity focused. So we're
Yep.
protecting all of our joints. We're allowing ourselves to play disc golf more without getting exhausted, without putting our tendons, ligaments, and our muscles through all these grueling, multi-round per weekend things that we all love to do. That's how we get injured. So,
Yeah. So we were talking. You were mentioning about cardio. Are we looking at running like 6-7 miles a day, maybe a mile, maybe some bike work, and some sprinting, or what's your ideal
yeah,
for cardio?
I'd say my best answer to that is do anything cardio. So I would say just get your body moving. Walking on an incline on the treadmill is going to help you tremendously. Just put on your show, put on a podcast, and walk on the treadmill at an incline for 30 minutes. Just get your heart moving. Now, if you're more of an advanced athlete, yes, I think going out and running those 6-7 miles could be incredible for your disc golf endurance. My cat wants to say hi. Leo, you got to get out of here. So the cardio aspect, I would say anything you can do, and this could be a lot of guys have heavy physical jobs, construction workers, all these things. You're already getting your heart racing on a daily basis. So you want to just make sure that you're doing something is what I would say to everyone. And I don't think running 20 miles is what you necessarily need to do to be a good disc golfer. But yeah, getting out there and running a couple of miles, a couple times a week would be incredible. If you love to run, I would say go for it.
Yeah. So how do you work with people on their mental game to improve their mental capabilities?
It's huge. It's something that I think that I can coach quite a bit because I've been through it. Probably worse than a lot of people, where I set really high expectations for myself, and if I don't reach them, I'm really, really, really upset. And that is what a lot of people are going through, where they think, man, I've been playing for a couple of years, I should be way better than this. Or they are out there and they throw a shot on a hole, and it's one of those like bread and butter holes for them. Or, I'm a sidearm thrower. I've been working on the backhand the last couple of years, but I'm predominantly a sidearm guy. And so when I step up to a hole and I mess up something that I should be parking 9 times out of 10, it gets you frustrated.
Yep.
But those are things that you have to you can get frustrated for that 10 seconds, give yourself a couple of mental cues, get to the next tee, and it's gone. Forget about it completely. And that's way easier said than done. But I tell you, if you work on it, just like anything else, habit-wise, if you're out on the course, something doesn't go your way, or you get a spit out on a basket, you were finally, making some momentum on your scorecard throughout your round, you get a nasty spit out. And, I have buddies that run up and smack the chains, kick their bags over. Those are things that I definitely used to do, and I feel like I'm getting better at it. The mental cues part is huge. So what I would say to anybody who's really struggling with their mental game in terms of getting down on themselves out on the course, you got to remember why you started playing in the first place. That's my number one recommendation for the mental game is remember the first time you went out there and you said, man, this is really fun. I think I'm going to have to buy some discs. I'm going to have to buy a bag. I'm going to start playing with my friends more. Find that again. Roll up to the course and be like, I have no expectations today. I'm not even keeping score on my casual rounds anymore. I'm just going to go out there and have fun.
Yeah. Now to a bigger topic of working on our craft, because this is going to be kind of a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
When you do field work or have somebody do field work, is the goal just to work on all your shots, get familiar with your disc, or is there like set drills that you do to keep growing in your throwing?
Yeah, I think the main reason to do field work for me, and anytime I'm coaching somebody through a field work session, is 100% go out there with a plan. A lot of guys will just go out and will dump their bag out, or throw their bag, go down to the end, make a pile, throw back, and just keep doing the same thing. And what I would say is you need to figure out, and I posted this on my channel at one point, figure out how far each one of your discs fly, and on every angle that you release them on at 80% power. So that's something that I think could help you out on the course tremendously. If you really know when you step up to say you step up to a par three and it's a gentle dog leg to the left and you got 320 feet, you need to know right away in your head what disc. You shouldn't be thinking in my head, oh, should I lighten up on this or should I just try to rip this one as hard as I can? Figure out comfortably at 80% power. That's the most efficient and most smooth we are in the throwing motion if we're hovering right around that 80 to 85%. And that's true for ball golf too. So if we can figure that out, then it's not a guessing game anymore. You've done that work in the field. You know how your discs fly. You may have to account for the wind or ground play, that kind of thing. But so I would say get out there and figure that out for one. And then a couple of other drills I like to do, and this is for putting practice as well. My buddies and I will go out there and we'll sit on the goal line of a football field or right on the right near the goal of a soccer field, and we'll throw toward a basket at the other end. Mm-hmm. And that allows you to get that field work practice in with a target that you're actually throwing toward. And then when you're doing that kind of thing, pick which discs you would typically throw those lines on in your bag too. So say you got your overstable mid-ranges, you got your understable mid-ranges, throw them on those, the understable on your ante line to that basket. Throw your backhand hyzers with your overstable mids or a flex shot to that basket. Then walk down there and putt from every one of those shots to that basket. So that kind of gives you that putting practice and field work at the same time. And then another big one is finding a straight line on any soccer field, football field. And you want to pick your neutral flying discs in your bag and film yourself from the rear view so you can see that line right down the middle, and try to, as many throws as it takes, try to throw directly down that line and get that disc to land within like a 5-yard radius of that line. So that's something I like to do as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good drills for field work. I like that. Like for me, when I go do field work, I have soccer fields, so I'll stand at the net and then I'll pick like one light post and I'll throw to one of the field lights and then see which disc I can get parked the closest, or I'll throw from net to net. If I land it in the net, it counts as a goal.
Yep, that absolutely. The scoring really makes it so you're not just going through the motions and you're not just out there just chucking discs over and over and over without really caring where they're going. So you have to simulate that somehow. And the football field is a great idea with the uprights of the field goal. Yep. Just going down into the end zone and practicing some up shots with your discs, like a little forehand turnover from, step back into the left side of the end zone and take it and flick it out and try to go through the uprights and put your basket out there in the field and try to land it there. Try to step out with a patent pending stance from the other side and try to anhyzer something through there, and vice versa if you're a lefty. But those things are, if you go out there with a purpose, and I truly think going out there with a buddy is such a good time. Go out there with some music. You both can film each other's shots. You can talk about how something looked. You can say to each other, that one looked really clean, man. Let's try to do that one again with the exact same disc. That's how you improve, is when you go out there with an actual plan and you're not just chucking your discs back and forth.
Yeah. Now for putting practice, like I see a couple of your clips that you've posted on like 30-foot putting and like elevate baskets. I'm like, those are the two areas where like as soon as I know I'm 30 feet, like I just can't putt. Like it just goes out the window. And elevate baskets, I'm like too hesitant to run it, where it goes right past. So how do you work with people to get over that mental hurdle to get those putts?
Man, putting practice is something that I don't do enough of myself, and I can almost guarantee anyone watching this is not doing enough putting practice if they truly want to succeed. The putting is, if somebody has like a very unorthodox form that you think is really adding in too many variables, then we may need to change your form first. If you have something going on where you just really cannot control where it's going left and right, up and down, your weight transfer is off, let's work on a couple of those things first. But if somebody already has a putting form that is working for them, and they can, they do make quite a few just outside of the circle putts, or they typically don't miss within that 20-foot mark. Now we can actually talk about the mental side of putting, which is I truly think it's 80% of it at this point in my career of playing disc golf, because I have a pretty smooth putt myself, but I've gone through phases of I'm terrified the moment I step up to it. I step up to a 15-footer and I've thought I'm going to miss this. I'm going to chain out right side on this. Or I'm going to donk it right off the band because I'm nervous. So those are things that you have to get over, and all the mental hurdles that you need to jump over can be solved by getting into a routine that you can repeat over and over and over again without even thinking about it anymore, where you step up and you have, say, 2 pump fakes at the basket. You feel the balance between your feet. You're not overthinking anything. You're not saying, you're not pumping a third time. You're not getting nervous and leaning back and trying to figure out where your balance is. You step up to your putt. You have the exact same routine every time. And if you miss, you don't change a single thing. You go up to the next putt and you do the exact same thing again. That's the problem that I noticed with a lot of, even myself and my friends that I play with. They start missing a couple things and they're like, man, I got to change something. I think I'm going too fast. I think I'm doing whatever. Just go back to your routine. Try the exact same thing again. Even top pros on tour are missing their 30-footers all the time. I've caddied for a lot of different pros out on at Toboggan here, which is my local pro tour course. And I watch pros miss 30-footers all the time. And yes, they may get frustrated for a second, but then they go and can a 38-footer or a 45-footer, and then they're right back in it. So the mental side of putting it's got to be 80% at this point. I have to believe that, just because through my own career, if I'm stepping up with no fear, I'm hitting dead center the mass majority of the time. The moment I start worrying and I'm like, okay, make sure your tempo is good on the way down and the way forward, make sure you're reaching for the pole, that's when I start missing, is when I have too many mental cues in my head that haven't become just second nature. So that's what you need to work toward. If that's something that's really hurting you, is make it completely second nature. You've ingrained it so deep where you step up and the only worry you have is a quick check of the wind and a quick assessment of how far you are away from the basket, and go for it.
Cool. So if you're working with somebody and they have a tournament coming up, how do you get them to prepare, do a course prep for the tournament?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. That's something that when I first started playing tournaments, I didn't do, is prep at all. I showed up 20 minutes before the start of the players meeting, and your first several holes are god awful if you do that to yourself. So show up. So first of all, it starts the night before. Let me back up. So the hydrating, the eating well, and getting enough sleep, and trying not to drink a ton of alcohol or other substances. I don't think that that's a great idea the night before a disc golf tournament. Go in clear-minded, wake up feeling good, get your coffee, get, whatever you need, have all your snacks planned. I have a long list of things that I bring to tournaments now, which is, backup socks, backup pair of shoes, backup pair of shorts or athletic pants. Sometimes I'll bring, just so I've had experiences where I've had to go into water and find stuff, and I have soaking, socks. My pants are all wet, and I need to change. And what would that do to your second round of the day if you didn't have those things? So it's better to have them and just have them in a little baggie in the back of your car if you're used to playing tournaments all the time. And then I'll have a complete second bag of backup discs that I'll take with me to events. And then, so all of those things come before you even get out there to start practicing the course. So that's the night before stuff. Now let's back up to maybe whenever you can get that practice round in at the course. Sometimes it's a week before, sometimes you can get in there a day or two before. Is when you go play the course, give yourself enough time to throw multiple shots off the tee, multiple different options, so you can see what works. And if you didn't get something to fly the way that you want it down that fairway, and you know that this is going to be a hole that you either really want to birdie, it should be a must get birdie, or a really difficult hole, go back to the tee pad and do it again. Go over to the basket and look backwards down the fairway and be like, man, this fairway is not as straight as I thought it was. There's actually more, you have a lot more space out to this left side to hang your disc. Those are things that a lot of people don't do. They don't try to look down the fairway in the reverse direction to see how a hole is actually shaped. And then think about things like where you want to land on a given hole. What does the green look like? What is the rollaway percentage on the left-hand side of the green versus the right? When you're walking down the fairway and you throw a couple of shots and one goes off into the left on the left side and one goes off on the right side, go in there and figure out which side is way less punishing. Those are things that I'm starting to go through in my head before a tournament is, okay, hole 8, you go in on the left side, it's an OB stroke, basically. You're not going to get out of there. You're just going to have to pitch out to the fairway. And so those are things that if you run through, several days ahead of time, play a practice round with, give yourself 3 hours if you can swing it. If not, hopefully you're playing an event where you know the course well enough. You've played there plenty of times. Get there with an hour in advance before the players meeting. Do some mobility movements. Get your body moving first. Don't just go out and start chucking discs. And I had a buddy, this was a couple of years ago, who showed up to it was like in the fall and it was super cold in the morning, maybe 32. It was like right at freezing in the morning. And he steps up and starts throwing some like 60-foot putts and pulled something in his elbow, like something cracked just in his elbow. So don't think that putting can't hurt you either. So especially on those colder tournaments, make sure you're warming your body up properly. Doing some dynamic stretching exercises, throw some shots at 50%, your putters and your mid ranges, if they have a field area, or go to one of the holes that is open that you can go and throw nearby the, the players meeting. And I think those things are crucial for, and then, don't spend a crazy amount of time on the putting green. And also, this is a big one that I've noticed in myself. You step up to the putting green and your first 30 putts, don't care about if they go in or not. So a lot of people will step up, and this is advice that I just got from my friend Steve Mills, is don't care about where the 30 first putts go. Just get in a rhythm. Those first ones, you get out of the car and you get to the course in the morning, you're not just going to start banging all of them. Sometimes you do, but if you're not, don't let that get in your head that that's going to ruin the rest of your tournament. Or, man, I'm not going to be able to putt on the green today. I better put it close. So,
yeah. So you mentioned stretching. How often do you suggest people stretch to get flexible? Is it like every day you should be stretching? And then like after rounds, do you do like a cool down with a stretch or what?
Absolutely. Every day. So I do think that every single one of us should be stretching daily just to reduce injury risk. That longevity word that I use is huge. That's what we all want, right? We all want to be able to play until we are retired, from our jobs, and we're out there playing with our buddies in the sun. That's what we want. The biggest thing is mobility exercises and stretching daily. So when I say mobility, a lot of those things are dynamic stretches. So we're getting into different like yoga type poses, right? Where we're really getting into those deep bends, getting full ranges of motion, stretching our thoracic spine, which a lot of us don't do, which is super crucial for disc golf. So your thoracic spine would be that like that middle section, upper to middle section of your back. Where that's where that, the backhand twisting comes from in our form. If you are super tight in that thoracic spine area, you're not going to be able to rotate like some of these top pros on tour, like we're watching. And the mobility in the hips is going to reduce injury. And also having that upper level of mobility is going to directly translate to that rubber band effect. Having that ability to produce your lag in your backhand and rip that disc through and let it sling through without getting injury on the follow through, because you've prepared your body for that movement. And then, sorry, what was the second part of your question, Josh?
And then like which we do after a round? Should we be doing a cool down? And what does that look like? Oh, and some stretches maybe.
Yeah, so the stretching and the dynamic stuff before you start is extremely important, and then afterward, I would say you don't need to spend a bunch of time in the parking lot cooling down. But I do think, give yourself a couple of stretches out there. Stretch those hamstrings, stretch the shoulders, get yourself feeling a little loose before you get in your car for it could be an hour drive home for some of us, depending on how close your course is. But then you get home, you take a shower, you're sitting on the couch at night, maybe watching a show, get down on the floor and do a couple of things. Do a couple of stretches. Every stretch you can think of, just do that while you're sitting on the couch instead of just shoveling that bag of Doritos, which I'm guilty of myself. But those are things that make a huge difference. And if I'm being honest, I don't do it enough myself. So I need to work on it too.
So you said earlier how you caddied for a couple pros. Who's been your favorite pro to caddy for, and then who's
Oof.
been the most impressive pro to see throw in person?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Man, by far, Drew Gibson is the most impressive pro. I've caddied for him and watching him throw just, in person directly behind him on a multitude of shots, especially at a course like the Toboggan. I mean, if you haven't had the chance to see some of these top pros throw, Drew Gibson is easily one of the best examples of it. I mean, it sounds like a gun going off when that disc comes out of his hand.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's crazy the amount of like how much acceleration he gets and how much actual like into that power pocket and the lag. I mean, it's just whipping through. So he's been one of the most fun to watch. And I mean, even watching him tone down and throw a buzz is just super impressive what he can do with a disc, especially just those backhand throws. But I had a great time caddying for Gavin Babcock too. I would say him and I had probably the most fun out there on the course. Drew's a little bit more, kind of keeps to himself, a little bit quieter during his rounds. But Gavin and I had, a great time just chatting back and forth throughout the tournament. So yeah, I'd have to say him.
That's really cool. I would love to like caddy at least once for a pro. I think that'd be a blast just to see how they see the course and how they break it down. I think that would be like a lot to like learn from.
I think it would be an extremely good experience for any disc golf fan to get out there and get on a bag. I know you can buy the VIP passes and you can get really close to the tee pad in a lot of cases, or you can follow right alongside the fairways. But being a caddy is completely different. You feel like you're right there on the card. You get to go on, there's many Pro Tour courses where you can't even follow them on a couple of holes. The spectators kind of get held back and you got to head over there, skip a couple of holes. And you get to get in the rough with that, in the pro, and you're get the chance to chat about a couple of options and hear them go about their game is probably the most eye-opening part, is realizing that they're dealing with a lot of the same stuff we are. They just have a much higher ceiling and a much higher skill level. So, but they're still going through the same thing, disc selection. Man, I didn't really plan on ending up here. How am I going to get up there? Am I going to just play this safe, or am I going to try to do a hero shot and get up there to still take a birdie? So, and then watching these pros, they don't make all their 30 to 40 footers. I've watched pros miss 20 footers. And so you can really start to see how they're just the same as we, us amateurs are out on the course. They just tend to minimize their mistakes a little bit more and also make up for their mistakes a lot quicker. Their mental game is, yep, that was, that's gone. I'm going to forget about that hole, and now I'm going to birdie this one.
Yeah, that's always the impressive part, is like how quickly they can like flip the mental. It's almost like NFL football, like the pros, like a defensive back after he gets burned on a play, very next play he's back out there ready to go. That's right. What impresses me the most.
It's what it needs to be. And hey, I struggle with that still out on the disc golf course. But if you can get yourself into, I just shanked that one that wasn't like me, and just say to yourself, that was a bad throw, I'm not going to let that affect my next shot. I'm going to step up and trust my form. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to try to not grip lock it this time. Get all that stuff out of your head. Just step up and throw a shot and have fun.
Yeah. So, for you throwing, do you throw more overstable or understable, and why?
So, man, that's tough because just recently I'm starting to put more understable stuff in my bag. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or if I guess I've learned that for me, I've always been a forehand dominant player. And
Yep.
so when I go over to the backhand, I'm not typically throwing like a hyzer flip up to flat and late turn. In those cases, I'm throwing a hyzer flip with a sidearm and I'm getting something to stand up, go straight forever, and then gently fade. So it's almost the same shot. But as we all know, there are certain holes out there when you're playing disc golf that are not, the forehand's just not it. The backhand will get you to penetrate further down the fairway, and a lot of these fairways are shaped for that understable backhand slot. So I've just said to myself, you got to learn it. You got to learn how to put like the origin from Discmania. That mid range is incredible. Straight out of the box, it's not like the flippiest thing in the world. It'll stand up and go straight forever. But when you season one in a little bit, I mean, that thing, I can throw it, like this and get it to flip up to flat and get that late turn. And that's something that I didn't have in my bag for many, many years. I even put a function in my bag from Discmania, which is a super flippy fairway, I believe. I think it's an 8-speed. Yeah, mostly stable to overstable in my bag for sure. Just because I'm more of a power disc golf thrower than I am a smooth finesse. Like I'm no Bradley Williams.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm overstable because I just don't have that touch. I'm just heavy, like a hard thrower, and that's it.
Yeah.
So what actually is in your bag? Like if we were to go play a tournament today, what are you bringing?
Man, I am a combination of Discmania, a couple of Innova molds in there, and Discraft now. And that has changed so dramatically over the years. It's not even funny. I haven't had one Discraft disc in my bag since 2015, probably.
Oh wow.
And I just recently started moving over. I'm putting with Lunas now. I'm throwing Lunas off the tee. I'm throwing the Kratos off the tee. And then, I put in some Raptors. I mean, I've been a Sexton Firebird guy forever, FD3s for sidearm, Discmania forever. I would say probably mostly Discmania. All my mids are Discmania. MD4s. MD1 is probably one of the best mid ranges I've ever thrown. I don't know if you've ever thrown an MD1.
No, I'm part Team Trilogy, so I only throw the Trilogy.
Nice. What is
Yeah.
that really like straight to potentially understable mid that you throw from them?
The only mids that I would say probably the older runs at Emac Truth.
Okay.
It will go straight and then fade over. The new ones that have been retooled are very overstable, and you throw that thing on hyzer, it just stays on hyzer the whole way.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
No, that's
Love
perfect. You need those, and that's a advice for anyone out there. Throw more neutral stabilities. So throw that like truly stable disc, not an overstable disc, a stable disc. So those are going to get you that ability to pick your angle. So you throw it on an ante, it's holding the ante. You throw it on that hyzer, it's not going to flip up too much. It's not going to dump super hard on you. It's going to hold that hyzer line for you. And then if you throw it nice and flat and straight, that's where it's going. So that's what I've been trying to get to, and that's what the MD1 is. It's I think it's a 5500. But that disc is point and shoot. And
Yeah,
so I'm trying
what are you using for a forehand approach?
zone.
Oh, okay.
So I was a prodigy guy for most of my disc golf career. So the A2 and the A4 for any A4 lovers out there, with the weird beaded rim and multiple different shelves going on it on the nose. A2s and A4s were in my bag for like 10 years. And the reason I went to a zone is because I realized that the the A2 is, I couldn't find any of the super flat ones anymore. It was really hard for me to find like that board flat A2. And also they had a little bit too much overstability for me until I beat them in, because I want it to be torque resistant, right? But I don't want it to be just like dump at the very end of the flight. I want to get a little forward push on it. So now I'm throwing an Adam Hammis Z Swirl zone that's pretty puddle top, so it's pretty overstable. An older ESP zone that's beat in a little bit that gives me, 40, 50 feet more distance on the exact same line, maybe even more than that. And then the Buzz or the Zone SS is probably the best disc I've ever thrown. So when they came out with that, I was like, I immediately have to get one of these in the bag. I bought the Testy Lento version of the Zone SS, and it is a better version of the A4 from Prodigy. And now the A5 is very similar to a Zone SS that they make, where it has just enough stability where it's not just going to roll over on you if you get a little bit of wiggle or wobble or off axis torque. But you can trust it on all kinds of different angles. That Anheuser pushing shot out of the the woods on the left.
Yep.
I see you like to throw a lot of forehands too when I watch your videos.
Tons of forehands. Yes.
So that's the kind of disc we all need, especially if you're a really prominent forehand player. You got to be able to get out of trouble with that little Annie flick
Yep.
to land it flat and slide up into the green.
I use an anvil for that.
Nice.
Have you ever tried an anvil before?
Who makes that one again?
West Side Disc.
West Side Anvil. I don't know if I've ever thrown that. I know I've thrown the harp, but what is the anvil like?
The anvil is a better version of the harp, in my opinion.
Okay.
You could really put a lot of power on it, and it eats the power, and it's not going to glide forever. You could throw it on hyzer; it holds that hyzer perfectly. If you throw it on the Anheuser, it pans out perfectly. It floats down right through the basket.
That's
and
it.
You can also skip shot perfect around objects, which is awesome.
Yep. Everyone needs one of those. Not crazy overstable, just stable, approach disc.
Yeah. It's technically listed as overstable, but like I'm so used to it that I can handle it because it's a 4204.
Oh, so it is pretty.
Oh yeah, it's pretty beefy. So, but like I'm so used to it that I'm able to just use it like a normal disc.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then I think my drivers are mostly Discmania right now. I got a lot of DD3s, different varying stabilities. Gavin Babcock actually gave me a Team Discmania DD3 that I swear is a PD2. It has to be a PD2. Or they tool them to make them beastly overstable for what the pros want. But it looks like it has the shoulder of a PD2, but the bottom says DD3. It is, I use it in that PD2, like beefy, overstable slot. And it's one of those where I don't know if I can even throw it over. I don't think I can get it out over 400 on a sidearm. With a lot of my other discs, I can put, past that with sidearms.
I wish I could hit 400 feet. That'd be nice. I'm stuck at 350 and that's it.
That's still awesome, man. That's still far.
Yeah. Have you ever thrown a felon before?
Yes. Yep.
Have you ever thrown a normal felon and compared to a Saki bomb felon?
No. I was just going to ask you, the felons that I've thrown, my brother had a couple of them. They were the Captain America shield ones. I don't know what run those are or what.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but
those,
my opinion is the Saki bomb felons are way better than the normal felons.
I wonder what they do to them.
They retooled them for the Saki bomb.
I wonder, see, they do that like with the Captain's Raptor and I don't know if it's a completely different mold or if it's just a combination of molds. Like maybe they changed the flight plate a little bit. I'm not sure how they do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because if you look at a normal felon and a Saki bomb felon, they look like very the same. They feel the same, but when you throw them, they're completely different. Like the Saki bombs, all of them are identical. You can pull them right out of the box, know exactly how they throw. And a normal felon, you're either going to get them too beefy, not beefy enough, or next to no glide. They're super inconsistent. Where the Saki bomb felon, was perfectly
Yeah.
consistent every time.
See, that's like those Captain America shield felons were super super beefy, overstable, bored flat. Um, when my brother first got him, and I got the chance to throw him quite a bit. And then at the end there, they're actually standing up and going straight for too long for him. He's like, I need that thing to dump. It's getting too much glide on it now. But that happens with a lot of discs. But yeah, the felon is a great one. I don't know where my game would be without an overstable fairway or distance driver, or however you want to call it, like
Yep.
a Sexton Firebird or an FD3 felon. I don't know where my game would be without one of those.
Yeah, the flex shot is like the money shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, what is the mission with your coaching? Like, what is the big vision for it?
The big coaching is the goal is to help players of all skill levels from top level pros. And yeah, I may not be able to help them with their perfect their disc golf form, but I can help in a lot of other ways. I have been playing a long time. I have pretty good course management strategies that I can share. So I want to coach players from that pro level all the way down to I just played yesterday and I'm obsessed with this game. Um, and I think that I can offer a lot to anyone within that spectrum. Um, the the goal is to always remind players of why they started in the first place and to get them out of their own heads. I think is one of Enhanced Flight's goal is to, our motto is grind, throw, live, which grind is just, working hard every single day to achieve whatever you want. It doesn't have to be disc golf related. So we're just grinding to reach our goals, right? We're throwing disc golf, making that a very important part of our lives because we all love it. And then living a fulfilling life it could be the most important one out of all of those, right? So you got to remember to live and have fun and have passion in other things that are outside of disc golf. I have, I've played with many, many buddies over the years that get burnt out. Disc golf becomes their only passion that they have, right?
Yep.
And you got to be mindful of that because when you make it your only passion, it's your only area of your life that you find success in, or your only area where you're like, this is all I care about improving at. That's when the mental game struggles the most. So if you can find ways to, have other hobbies, work out more, do the things around your house you've been wanting to do, like make sure you're living, travel. Those kind of things are so important for making the mental space of disc golf not be like, this is all I am, this is all I do, to man, I love to get out and play this sport. This is so fun with me and my buddies getting out. This is like the old times, that's something that I've really had to teach myself. So that is what I hope I can convey to everyone out there through Enhanced Flight is grind, throw, live. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty cool. As we're wrapping this up, you got any questions for me?
Yeah, man. I wanted to ask, where are you located?
Buffalo, New York.
New York.
Yep, Western New York. World AMs will be here in August.
So we have very similar weather conditions.
Yes.
It's been so brutal. Do you get out pretty often in the winter?
Oh yeah, I go out every week. Just get out there and play a couple holes. Like even if it's like too much too much snow to actually throw. Like I'll get close to a basket, and just work on approach shots or my putting. That's
Yeah.
about just so I can be like, hey, I went out.
I know. I'm such a baby when it comes to it. I guess it's not that I'm like afraid of being cold. It's just for some reason when it starts to get as cold as it's been here in your state and mine, it's just been so brutal to even be outside.
Yeah.
And all the 10 plus inches of snow and ice everywhere. So I mean, I applaud everybody who gets out there and they're the winter warriors and play all the time. I've been trying to throw into the net in the basement as much as possible, trying to putt down the hallway as much as possible, but I need to get my butt out on the course.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. What division do you play right now, Josh?
MA2 right now. I'm thinking about maybe towards the end of the year dabbling in the MA1, but I'm not sure yet.
Nice. Have you taken any M2 tournaments down yet?
Yeah, I took down Backbone Flex tournament out at Big Guy's course. over the summer.
Nice.
It was pretty cool.
That's fun, man. The step from AM2 to AM1, I'm trying to remember. I feel like the step up from AM3 to AM2 wasn't that big, and then AM2 to AM1 can actually become pretty noticeable, just because you got a lot of those top level AM1 players that are beating scores in the open division pretty often in tournaments that you play. So yeah, once you get up into that AM1 field, man, all I can say is I would recommend moving up sooner than later. You've already taken down an AM2 event, and playing with those guys in AM1 will make you better. It forces you to play better.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you said like M3 to MA2 really isn't that much of a difference, because like when I entered in last season at MA2, I was like, okay, I won't be as competitive as I was in MA3, because the year before that in MA3, I was always like top 3 or top 5 every tournament.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of last season, I was like, all right, probably won't be competitive, probably back at the pack. And then I finished out at the end of last season almost the same thing as MA3. I was like, oh, all right. I thought this would be a lot more challenging, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like, all right.
They're similar, right? And a lot of tournaments will put like AM2 and AM3 in the same course layout, and then do
Yep.
the AM1s and the pros on the same. So I think that that's a big part of it, why that AM2 to AM1 can be a pretty big jump, actually. But yeah, dude, I guess, what are some of your goals for this podcast, man? That was another question I had.
The goal is pretty simple, to just get as many disc golf player stories recorded as possible, so that they could either look back at it someday and be like, hey, this is why I play disc golf, or like if they're trying to get a sponsor, they could pull up this episode and send it to them, be like, look, I was on this show, I talked about myself, this is who I am. So that's kind of like the whole goal of this show, is just to get as many players on here as possible.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you for doing this. This is really neat that you're doing this and getting everybody's stories, and thank you for all the hard work you're doing.
Thank you. So my final question for you is, where can people find you on social media, and how can people get a hold of you for coaching?
Yeah, so the big ones are Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So it's at Enhanced Flight DG, and it's not enhanced. A lot of people will put the D on the end of enhance, so it's the verb version of enhance. So Enhanced Flight Disc Golf. You can find us there, and then you can also email us is another good way if you want to start virtual coaching. That's something that we've done over a dozen at this point. I want to keep pushing for more of those. I just think they're incredibly useful for anyone, especially if you have a throwing net, or we can do the meeting when you're out on an actual in a field, so we can see what's going on in real time and work on some things. But yeah, if you want to you can send an email to enhancedflightdg@gmail.com, or just send us a direct message on any Instagram, TikTok. And then we're going to be putting out some more long form YouTube content this spring, summer, and fall. So I'm pretty excited for that. More full rounds, doubles, battles, challenges on the course, hopefully playing against some other content creators in the area. So look out for some of those things as well.
Cool. Hey, thank you for coming on tonight.